Build is about building better culture, leaders, visionaries, community to better serve the client. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder, and I'm here to showcase real business owners building companies with integrity, trust, and a commitment to making a positive impact. Join us as we explore their stories, insights, and strategies for success. With that being said, welcome to The Real Build. Welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder, and today I got an amazing guest, the one and only. I'm gonna give him actually the best intro there is. This man right here I've known for a long time. He's been on the show before, and him and I actually co-hosted a show when I took a little break from this podcast, and we co-hosted a show together called Top Contractor Podcast, which became the #1 podcast on all of Apple iTunes for a while there. Just kidding, but should have been. And anyway, he's killing it in business. I'm excited to have him on. He's grown his company tremendously over the last few years, and if you don't watch his content, you guys need to check out Nate's content online because Nate is telling you exactly his roadmap of business, which is really impressive of how he's doing everything, hiring, firing. I mean, you name it, he's explaining it. So go check him out on social media. But Nate Swink, great to have you. Great to have you back. And obviously do this again with you, man. So welcome to The Real Build.
Thanks, brother. Billy B.
I got a feeling I got a feeling this one's gonna be listened to a lot. So
it's gonna be good. It was a long time coming. So I haven't been on a podcast since I did yours last. I've just been grinding. I've kind of been taking it easy on the content, trying to get everything in order, and we'll go through that in this episode too, just kind of the chaos I've been through the last year and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, man, I want to definitely hear about that. Want to talk about the content too, because the content you're doing is awesome, especially for contractors just starting out. It's like a roadmap. You literally can probably take all your content and make it into like a book or something because it's spelling out like the exact roadmap of how you've gotten and built your company to where it is too, which is really impressive. But just a brief intro on you, talk about yourself. Obviously, people can listen to the past episode. I should have the number in front of me. I'm going to look that up while you're doing this brief intro.
Yeah, no problem, brother. So,
but yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, Nate Swink from Southern California, Simi Valley. Just turned 29 yesterday. So Bill actually, this was his present to me to have me back.
But happy birthday.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, I got a structural steel and miscellaneous steel company out of Southern California, specializing in high-end residential and commercial builds. So yeah, we do all sorts of stuff. We're right here near where all those fires happen. We actually had a couple jobs burned down. A GC we work for, his house burnt down. So we're in the thick of it. It's opportunity heavy right now, all the time.
Talk about that a little bit, man. Obviously with the chaos, because that's where you really do a lot of your business, where those fires took place. So obviously there's always mixed reports coming out of California and how things work. I mean, I've heard through some of the people I work with here, there's a lot of people in California moving here now, moving to other places here, Texas, because they can't rebuild. So, talk about that on your end. Is there stuff you're able to get into and help and rebuild, or is there the permits crazy? What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think the permitting stuff, from what I've read, I actually used the Chat GPT deep research feature. If anybody's not using that, start using the deep research feature because it's amazing. So I used that and actually got real analytics of how many permits have already been issued, demo permits, or what's been the cleanup percentage so far, and what percentage are they predicting of people who can't afford to rebuild and they're selling their lots, and then private equity's buying the lots, and or people doing investments, building specs, or whatever it may be, right? So, no, I think it's a first of all, let me just clarify. It was a very tragic, you know, scenario that no, we wouldn't wish any of it upon anybody. Um, but like Jordan Peterson said, opportunity lurks where responsibility has been advocated. So,
Mm.
and there's always opportunity underneath any problems, right? If there's a major problem, underneath that problem somewhere, there's an opportunity to either better yourself, make money, meet somebody, whatever the case is, right? So I'm always looking for those. And this is definitely one of those major opportunities to, build our relationship with more high end residential contractors, come in and not be a scumbag about it too, and help the community in different ways like that. So,
Yeah,
um,
you go into that a little bit too, because I saw your video on how there is a lot of scumbags out there.
yeah, so I did a kind of a funny video
That was a good one.
saying like the vultures are circling, man, because while houses were still on fire in Palisades in Malibu, I actually saw contractors doing ads, paid ads on Instagram
Wow.
while the shit was still on fire. So it's kind of like, and then even now I see a ton of them, and it's, everybody knows who the major players are. There was a lot of building and construction going on before any of this happened. So everybody knows who the top, let's say 20 to 50 custom home builders are in downtown LA, Malibu, Palisades, Beverly Hills, all those. But anyway, all the all the all the vultures are circling now, trying to get their piece, and it's just a bad way to do business. I haven't even been in the area where the fires happened since they happened. I'm just like, I'm focused on doing my thing, and I know people know who we are, and we'll get plenty of the opportunities. I don't need to go out there and try to, you know, solicit for them because that would be inappropriate to put it, plainly at a bare minimum. That would be inappropriate. So,
Yeah, like the work will come to you by doing the right thing and doing business the right way, like you already are too. I did want to shout you out on this one, episode 169, back on February 2nd, 2023 was our
there you
last
go.
episode. Two
Perfect.
years, 2 years ago.
169, baby. Couldn't have picked it any better.
So
So,
two
yeah.
years ago, man.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of opportunity, and on the whole flip side of that too, I see some contractors going a little crazy, right? Like dropping a lot of money, making big investments, and it's, watch the balance sheet, watch your P&Ls. Don't just go all in without analyzing your data and, having backup plans for things. So, whole bunch of things.
Well,
But
I liked how you said, I mean, for advice to contractors in general too, is like, if there is opportunity, you have to take it. And it goes the opposite way too. If opportunity slows down, you have to find different avenues that can continue to bring in revenue too. I was having a discussion actually before this podcast with my accountant, because we're opening up a remodel division. Finally, we just never did them, but I was tired of passing up so much work, and I'm big on being intentional. And when you're asked multiple times, do you guys do high end remodels, and you have to say no, somebody's telling you should probably start doing them.
yeah, I always thought that was stupid that you didn't. So I'm glad to
Yeah.
see that you are.
Yeah, so now we are because there's a lot of new homes out there, a lot of spec stuff out there, and like I was telling you, the market here is kind of flattened out quite a bit. So it's just a weird time, and I don't know if it's because of the transition of a new president or I mean how fast he's been at, with acting with stuff, and people are
Yeah.
kind of in shock, and trying to figure out okay when's or if they think prices are going to just drop on everything right away, which isn't going to be the case. I think a year from now, things are going to shake out for the best. That's my opinion only on it. But it's just a different time. So, new construction isn't happening as much, even though we do have a lot on the books right now. I need to alleviate and shift and do something different. That's where like you and I have talked about in the past, like me passing up millions of dollars in remodels or giving it to other people is
Yeah,
going to be
definitely.
no more.
Yeah, and it's about being diversified, that's why I could tell you we do kind of the craziest range of things, not too far out of our wheelhouse, but we have one job that we're signing. We're also a signatory union contractor as of October of 2024, and we just got a contract this week for a 7-story building,
Mm.
$2 million subcontract, all union
Wow.
labor to erect a 7-story building in downtown LA right off the 5 freeway. So we'll do something like that, and then we'll also get a call locally for like a $5,000 trash gate for the back of a new restaurant, and I'll do both of those jobs because I know I need all that kind of in my ecosystem with the size that I am right now, and then as I grow, the average job size changes. The How many small ones do I need? How many medium sized ones? How many big whales do I need? Because you need all of it to like make your cash flow properly, And I'm very aware of never pushing myself completely out of certain markets where I just say, no, we're too big for you. We don't want to do your job because, if something happens, I'm going to need to do a bunch of those small jobs at a higher volume to maintain our, revenue. So, and we've grown consistently at, 25 to 35% year over year. And I think that's how we're doing it. So, but with
So
that whole thing is like you also need to make sure that that's in your wheelhouse of your ideal customer, you know? So, but also sometimes you can take a quick small job that you're going to get paid on fast and, make a good 50 or so percent gross margin on because all of that funds the other stuff. So,
yeah. So with all the growth, how are you maintaining the quality overall?
yeah, that's a good question. It's been tough, dude. I'll be completely honest. Like shit breaks. We
Yeah.
figure out issues. We disappoint people, and that gets me really angry and irate of because I don't like to disappoint people. We want to be the guy. We want to take care of you, but I'll be honest, we have disappointed some people in the process and made mistakes. Do we make it right? Yeah, we do. I think it's all how you handle it. I think in construction, in any business, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. You're going to let people down. Expectations sometimes are going to get slipped, but how do you rebuild that relationship, rebound, have a meeting, adjust? What the hell went wrong? What do we need to do to fix it? And then keep going because it's not a matter of the mistakes. It's a matter of just that communication and, shit's going to happen. But it's been a little tricky. Right now we're in a spot where we don't have really solid leadership in our fabrication facility, and we're looking, I've been working on recruiting somebody for that. But so we have a whole fab shop, and then we also have a whole field side of different field crews. So it's always trying to get that balance of, is our shop crew solid? Is everything cohesive from shop to field to office? Little more variables than most people. If you're a framing company, you just have the field and the office, right? So
Yeah.
we have pretty much three different areas that we're working on.
So go to the leadership side of it. Um, like you said, you're trying to figure out leaders in all avenues of your company. Like, how are you developing that? Like, how do you find somebody that's a solid leader? How do you put them in that position? Like, what are you searching for? And how do you train them as a leader yourself, the main leader of the company, the CEO? Like, what are you doing to make sure you are implementing that, not implementing a bad egg into the company that can, rot everything else within.
Yeah, totally. So I think that starts with just taking your time, right? We've all made those quick hires and not either you don't have a process or you just make a snap, decision and hire somebody. So I would say have a hiring and recruiting process, get it out of your head, write it down. And then second, don't be in a rush because it's not that we're losing money, but we're not making as much as we could be. We're not as profitable as we could be due to inefficiencies in the shop. So as an owner, I could be like, "Oh my god, I need somebody right now," and I could just go grab somebody and throw them in there. But that's not a permanent fix. That's just throwing a band-aid on it. So definitely don't be in a rush. Follow your process, and then take time and date the person. You know, maybe you meet with them a couple different times and pay attention to the words they're saying. Pay attention to do they have an ego? All these different things. Have them take a PI test, a predictive index test. That's great. You know, we've been doing that on anybody in leadership, anybody in management. And then we're all kind of reviewing those as well. So we know how to interact with each other. That's a meeting that we need to actually schedule because there's about 6 of us that are all in leadership. So the PI index kind of goes through how do you think, what issues do you have, or like, what's going to make you more hesitant to act. And everybody needs to know that about one another. That way you know how to be more cohesive.
Yeah, for sure. Go back to I want to go back with you to you talked about disappointing people too. Because this is a huge topic. We deal with this in business all the time. Like I was putting out fires today for um and what I'm getting at is I think it's more of the approach with certain people too of how you deal with it, how you deal with the disappointment too, because not everybody's good at it. I guarantee you're good at it because you've had to deal with it a lot. It's just part of a business. You're never going to be perfect. um I had a past customer who she's usually pretty gets pretty pissed easily. Let's put it that way. She sends me a picture of a shutter, like my shutter guy fixing her shutter, and he has a water bottle in his hand, a crushed up water bottle. And she said this thing was in the shutter box, and it's what jammed up the shutter. And she's like, "You got to be kidding me with this and that." They've been in this house for 2 years now, so the shutter obviously must have caught on it, but long story short, the installer who did it probably put the water bottle in there and then it got closed up and we didn't see it because it's up high. And it's something it's never happened before. But
Yeah, it's again, there's literally, if you count the amount of micro tasks and variables there is in building a house, dude, it's
thank you.
multiple
Yeah.
fucking millions of things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
it's like she should be grateful that that was the only fucked up thing in the house and it was done because there's times that I'm in meetings, and sorry to cut you off here. I'm in
No,
meetings
you're
and we're
fine.
building big apartments or even this 7-story building. And you'll be in a meeting with people and you're thinking, how in the fuck is this going to get done, dude? If we're like
Yeah.
all these it's a wonder that anything gets built if you're involved in construction.
Oh, it's insane. It's constant babysitting. It's constantly watching, and like we try and perfect it, and we do as a company. We're pretty good at what we do, but stuff like that's going to slip through the cracks. And, all I could do after her yelling at me through text is I said her name and I said, "I'm sorry for what happened." I go, "It's the first time I've ever seen this. And more than likely, it was from the installers." I just said, "Being upset with me through text messages right now isn't going to fix it. I'll talk to the company when I can, but more than likely, they're probably going to try and point the finger, but I will resolve it. Thanks." That's all I said. And she didn't respond to that because Obviously, she's probably frustrated and so on. I actually tried calling her on my drive home to this podcast, and she didn't answer. But it's all how you react. It's all how you deal with things. And getting back to what you said, though, too, like as builders, as contractors, too, we're constantly putting out fires, and I could have overreacted and said, "Are you kidding me, lady? Like this and that. It happens. Like, what do you want me to do about it? This is 2 years later." But no, I said, I'll figure it out and I'll fix it. I actually, after that text message came through, I called my warranty specialist. I said, "Kathy, we need to figure this out. Call the company, and let's tell them that we're not paying them for it because one of their installers shoved a water bottle in there and it was already, they fixed it." So she goes, "All right," spoke with the company. She goes, "They said, don't worry about anything." Because we have that relationship with the sub, I knew that was going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's why I called the homeowner on the ride home to tell her, "Hey, we took care of it. It's fixed. You're not paying a dime." Simple, but she didn't answer. So,
Yeah,
getting
she was
back
that
at
pissed
that,
about a shutter though, huh? Wow.
yeah, they get worked up. It's, sometimes you have clients that get worked up about certain things that, and I'm always the one that has to kind of calm the situation too. And they've been worked up about a few other things that have happened at that house too. And we always go back, we always fix it, and that's all I can do. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's going back into what you said though, disappointing people. It sucks because that's why we're in business. But I think as good contractors, we try and figure out ways to, fix that to where they're not, I wouldn't call it disappointed, I guess is a way to putting at it.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be realistic. Stuff's gonna happen. As long as you handle it professional and you accept responsibility, then it is what it is. Like I got stuff happening all the time, and some of it you got to analyze and say, where is there a system breakdown? Is there something isn't right here if this is what keeps happening, right? So
Yeah, go to that assessment a little bit because I think a lot of contractors struggle with that. And some of them point the finger rather than dissect what you said. Or why is the system breaking down? How do you figure that out?
yeah, it could be a whole bunch of different things. Honestly, the way I like to go about it is getting people in the room and asking them what they think. So we do EOS now, Entrepreneur Operating System. So we do level 10 weekly meetings, 90 minutes long, 60 minutes of issue dis- issue solving. And it's been a struggle to get the guys, my 2 PMs, like on a rhythm of consistently doing them because they don't see the value in them, like the face value in them. But once they come out of them and like weeks later after the issues are solved, then they see the value in it, right? Anyway, so they've been doing a great job. They're being more consistent, and so have I. A lot to implement, but getting in there and going through an issue and then figuring out, hey, what do you think the problem is? Well, it's probably something deeper than that. What do you think? What about you think about this or this, right? And it's kind of discussing it and getting everybody engaged, and then figuring out an action plan to fix the problem. And then it's documented in our meeting minutes. Geez, I had a burp there. In our
It
meeting
wouldn't be a
minutes,
it wouldn't be a normal podcast with you without the Nate burp.
right? Yeah, well, I'm always juicing over here, trying to get some energy. So, but yeah, you document it and figure out, that way in a couple weeks, if the issue rearises, it's like, wait a minute, I thought we fixed this. Let's go back to our notes. What are we missing? But that's just how it is, man. If you think that you're going to be in construction or, quite frankly, any business and not have to deal with issues and problems, I mean, it's not going to happen, you know? And the other whole flip side to that is you might think, because I do on a weekly basis, or not quite that much, but I got to keep myself in check. Like, man, I wish I was in this industry, or I wish I was doing that business. I would make so much more money and there's so many less issues. Well, guess what? The guy who's doing that and who's in that business is probably
Same.
thinking the same damn thing that you're thinking. So you
Yep.
got to do a gut check and just say, no, that's silly. I'm not doing that. And then just stay focused, right? Like you could read any book on, you know, business and things like that. And the best way to learn and succeed at anything is by doing it for a long period of time, right? A definite aim, a definite focus on one thing for a long period of time. And that's how you get wealthy and that's how you figure shit out. I've been in the steel business for 10 years, over 10 years, and I just started getting good at it over the last few years where I learned where I, applied myself and learned and started figuring it out. So it's insane.
Yeah, and so you going through those trials, like you said, to figure it out. You came a long way from the Nissan with the tank
The
sticking
Nissan
out the
Maxima, right?
yeah, with the tank out the window. Things have changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been
So
good, man. It's not without its challenges, but again, like where's your vision at? Are you going to let a small problem slow you down from getting there? And you really have to believe that that's going to happen, that you're going to achieve that, that it's possible, that you can get there. And you got to keep yourself motivated. And I think when I'm motivated and people see me showing up and doing what I need to do and just getting my balls kicked in and then just staying fairly mellow with my mood, I tell my people in leadership, like, hey, don't be high, don't be low. Just try to stay right in the middle, so that you're steady and you can mentally go through things, right? I got a contract, like I said earlier this week, $2 million. I was excited about it, but I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna head out early, man. We're killing the game. No, I was like, okay, well, do I really even want to sign this thing? And then I started doing chat GPT deep research on, okay, who's the property owner? Who's the investors? Who's the contractor? Do they have any claims? Do they have any pending lawsuits? Are they a company that I want to marry myself to for the next 6 months or a year while I'm building this building? And can I trust them? And what's the risk of me taking a job this size? Right. And all these different things. And on my mood's like right here, I'm just like, okay, you can't get too high or too low. So,
I love it, man. You brought up the vision too and talked about vision. And I think with companies, especially your size too, it's so important to um have that and push that. And I've made it a point to get better with that. Like every team meeting now, the first thing we start with is that vision, right? And we've learned from mentors and coaches about that too. I just never really took it into full effect, and now I am. And one thing you talked about too is like you're like you said, I stay here, I'm working, I'm grinding. I'm not just getting a $2 million contract and going and kicking back and celebrating with the wife. I'm still here. I'm still trying to get more $2 million contracts. And
yeah. Yeah, it was funny.
it's
Yesterday, I went to dinner for my birthday and I was 20 minutes late to that with my family all waiting. And I was like, really took me like 30 minutes to really get the stress out and get where I was focused. And my wife's like, what's wrong? I thought you signed that big contract today. Why are you so stressed? And like, because there's other shit going on. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, not one thing in business is going to solve your problems. It's
no.
a culmination of many things. So,
No. And it's like you just said. I mean, we signed one of the biggest contracts this year that we've ever, the biggest contract we've ever signed before to build, almost an $8 million house, and it's stressful. I mean, yeah, my wife was the same thing. She's like, we should celebrate. This is a huge milestone for the company because
yeah, let's celebrate when the house is built and we get the final payment when we're
yeah,
done.
because I'm like, do you know how much concrete is in this? Do you know how much with this like how much this
Yeah.
is going to take? Like we've never. I know we can do it because we've challenged ourselves on a lot of houses we've just recently done, but this is a different beast. It's 3 stories of concrete, modern roof drains, just crazy, crazy. The Epicor planks, like just everything. A pool in the front, like with concrete walkways, concrete overhang. Like it's just structural, structural, structural. So we've had a ton of meetings with her, and I'm building for a concrete guy too. So I can't screw up the concrete. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's intimidating, man. But like you were saying, going off exactly what you were saying, like yeah, we could celebrate, but no, I'm instead of celebrating, I'm trying to figure out like how we can perform at a top level to finish this product. We'll celebrate when it's done, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. And you probably won't even do that because you'll just be
No.
on to the next one. And that's kind of the mindset, somebody might say, "Oh, well, that's pretty anticlimactic or whatever." But it's like, yeah, we're not there. We're not there.
Yeah,
When we sign 20 of these in 1 week, then we'll be there. Then we can say, yeah, now let's go
that's pretty cool.
celebrate. Yeah, it's like if your vision and goals are so big, when you hit milestones, one, you already knew that that was going to happen. You already saw that. You already foresaw that in a vision in your vision. So it's not as exciting when shit happens that you already predicted would happen. It's kind of like, wow, that's cool, but I already knew that was going to happen. On to the next.
Yeah,
And
no, it's true.
what's cool about this project, it's an all union project. So let me give you a little backstory, and maybe this will, if somebody's going through the thick of something right now, this might help. But for the last, let's say, like year and a half or so, we were getting unionized, where we were having to bargain with the union for a contract. From the get-go, I fought it. It was a very nasty battle back and forth for a while. And for the last 5 weeks of the battle, I think it was in September or October, they had about 18 guys, 16, 18 guys of my workforce on strike for 4 weeks. Right. And in front of my facility here at the office, both entrances, because we have a yard and office, we have two big entrances for semis. So guys on strike at both entrances, blow horns, megaphones. I couldn't make a phone call in my office without someone saying, "What the f is going on outside? Are you okay? It sounds like a riot's happening outside." I'm like, that's exactly what's happening. I'm trying to keep selling the vision. I'm trying to keep my clients calm. They're thinking, well, how are you gonna, get my job done if all your guys are out there? So imagine how stressful that would be. People who you keep busy. They don't have a day off unless they request it, because I'm always selling. I'm always making sure they're taken care of. Anyway, right? That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so then I met with them through that whole thing, sitting here trying to work with guys screaming and megaphones how I'm a piece of shit essentially. Like, and you're trying to work and you're trying to work, and it's wow, okay. This is not like anything most people have been through. I'll put it that
Yeah.
way. And we during that thing, they striked a Rolls Royce dealership that we were working at. In front of the dealership, they're on strike, of
Wow.
the construction one, and then they're on strike in front of two active dealerships. While people are going to buy $500,000 cars, my guys are in front of the dealership that's complete. There's no construction happening at the dealership. Okay. And then they're picketing at a church that we worked at while they're doing a Friday mass for the grandkids and grandchildren. And this is not a small Catholic church. There's, 10 or so thousand members of this church. This is in downtown LA.
Wow.
Imagine the phone calls I was getting on that one. Well, I had to donate a few $1,000s to that church to kind of to mull that over, because that was a big deal. But anyway, this was the amount of stress and craziness going on in like September, October. And I thought many times, like, fuck this. I think I'm just gonna go do something else. Like, I don't want somebody to tell me what I'm gonna do. And I was losing sight of the vision, dude. I lost sight of it for a few months before that, a few months after that, because it was just super stressful. Lost a $500,000 contract, went back, negotiated with the union, signed the contract, figured out that they're not the big bag of wolf that I thought they were. You know, my attorney kind of blew the whole thing. He made a shitload of money on the deal. I learned a lot of things the hard way, per usual, right? So the whole lost the $500,000 contract. By the way, I got it back 2 days after I lost it. It by this fucking barely got it back without getting back charged, remanded up. I was on the phone doing like some fucking hostage negotiation shit to maintain flow. And then imagine maintaining cash flow during all of this. It was wild. So anyway, I went from thinking I'm gonna close this business, F this, the union's a bunch of assholes. Now we get along, now we have a relationship. Now I just got a $2 million job that is all union labor, 7-story building that's, 90 plus feet tall in LA off the 5 freeway. So, my point in saying all this is like when you're going through shit, it, it's like that song I keep hearing that. So I was listening to it this morning. Watch him work it for your good. He's not done until, right? That Christian song. So there's
Hmm.
just like, first of all, God's amazing, but like, don't get hung up thinking it's the end of the world in any of your situations because you don't know what's on the other side of that,
Mm.
right? That was 5 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. Now I just got a $2 million contract from it that will only last 3 months. Like
Mm.
that's pretty big amount of volume. 3, 4 months, 500,000 a month in billing. That's a good contract.
Yeah.
So that's, tons of just craziness. Had
Yeah.
our had our head of accounting leave in December to find a whole pile of shit that she didn't do right for months. Catch up there. So it's now we're finally okay. Now we're flowing again. We got the right people in the right spots, except for one person in leadership. We got to do some tweaks. But yeah, it's wild. But you got to keep going. You can't get hung up. And I lost my vision for a while 6, 8, 9 months. I lost it, but I still showed up because I had my wife and my little Paisley at home who I had to show up. Right. And now I've got the vision back. It's like, all right, let's go.
I love it, man. 100% what you said too is like obviously business sucks. I mean, it's everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a business, yeah, this and that. I mean, I came into a business that was already started, and I had to work a lot of the kinks out when I finally got control of it and getting rid of the bad subs. Like I'm still dealing with stuff from old subcontractors that were used in the past that, I got rid of and now I'm having to fix the work, and I'm having to do it out of my pocket or I work something out with the client, but out of the kindness of my heart because it was a crappy sub, like, I'm doing the right things. But getting rid of that and bringing in new people that I trust, I know do phenomenal work, that is leading up to these bigger jobs that, like you just talked about, a $2 million job is going to be a common thing because you have the people, you
Yeah.
have the infrastructure now.
Yeah. And it was an opportunity that I only got because of all that conflict that happened.
Yeah.
That all led to this opportunity. And it was a very weird scenario too. Usually big jobs like that, you have to work on them for months or years before you get them. I bid the job 2 weeks ago, dude, and I got it already because
Wow. Good for
I
you.
provided a lot of value. It was something that just came out of nowhere and moved quick. And it was somebody that I knew through that I didn't know I knew through 5 other people. But when he called me, I said, this guy, this guy. And then the trust was super quick. And then the whole thing, it was just like, wow, it was a total God thing where it's like, I was already set up to do our revenue number this year just based on what I'm bidding, what I have closing, all these different things. Now this just pushed my revenue number over by like 15 or 20% for the year. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Well, one thing you just said there is you provided a lot of value. Go into that a little bit too, the importance of that, because, I think a lot of contractors, and obviously this show's directed towards, people looking for what to look for in the construction industry and other
Yeah,
industries,
I
but
think
talk about
this would be a
your
fun
value.
this would be fun to go through
Yeah.
actually with you because you're a GC, right? We don't always
Yeah.
get good feedback. We don't get good feedback, but we don't always have the time to just sit and BS with a GC that we just did stuff with. But let's say scope gap, right? Is that not the biggest thing where you lose money or that it becomes conflict if there's scope gap? And if you have a contractor who looks out for you, who's got your back, and they do because of their inclusions and exclusions, because how detailed they are. And then
Hmm.
that guy, you might get a second bid, and that guy's kind of, oh, everything included on the plans. And that's all he puts. And this other guy line items all of it out and says, hey, here's some design issues I saw. I put in an extra adult because I think on this concrete overhang, we're going to need shoring. The engineer doesn't say we need shoring, but I know it'll be needed. So I'm going to just give you that as an option cost. I'm looking out for you. That way you can get ahead of this cost for your client instead of it coming up during construction, causing you delay. All this shit that most people don't do, that's what we do.
Hmm.
So the other union erector who was bidding the job, um, Danny's DCI, Danny's Construction. They're a big company. I think they do, I don't know, I'd say a couple 100 million or so a year across the country. Um, they didn't include all sorts of crap that they knew the client would need on the job. And they did it because they didn't want to be inconvenienced and they didn't want to be accommodating. And because of that, those idiots lost the job to some young punk like me who just went signatory like 5 months ago. And now, once we get a good portfolio of that, we're going to move in and we're going to take more of their shit in LA until I kick them out of California. They can go back to Podunk, wherever they're from, you know, because it's all about value. And that contractor knew that from my first interaction with them and when I sent the proposal, they knew I was looking out for them because I put every little detail that they were looking
Hmm.
for in it. And I made sure they were covered. And I put anything in the general notes of my bid. I put, hey, here's some issues we're going to need to work out. Here's this, here's this, here's this. You know, I'm not just throwing a number at it. I'm on to the next one. I'm trying to build that relationship and build value. And we sell on value.
Yeah, I love that, man. It does on the contractor side, on the GC side, it does make a difference. I mean, the more I can see from the subcontractor, the scope, what they're offering, and so on, too, the more trust I'm going to have going into it. I mean, I've seen some pretty bland, blank
Oh, yeah.
bids and that are just
It's going to
terrible.
give you confidence, right? As
Yeah.
the GC, it's going to give you confidence knowing this guy might be a little more, but I know that I can trust him because he's done his due diligence. And from face value, it looks like he's not going to hit me with any change orders unless they're justified
Yeah.
because he's got all of it outlined in here. He's already got my back. He's already looking ahead at problems. And I haven't even given him any money yet. And he's looking at problems. Imagine what he's going to do when I give him money. He's going to look for even more problems.
Yeah, and you keep your prices. I mean, unless there's obviously a raise on steel or a raise on material, obviously your price should go up, but you keep your prices where they are for your contractor. That's another big thing that I can't stand is like these guys get into working with us and then you see their prices slowly creeping up and I catch it all the time. So then I'll bid somebody else and then I catch them and they're like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, we forgot it was a miscalc on our part or we forgot to adjust a number, something like that. I mean, advice out there to anybody that's a subcontractor that's working with GCs, keep your prices consistent. I mean, don't be greedy. They're gonna feed you. That's the thing. Like we always take care of our subs. We pay them right away. Don't get greedy. And that's I've gotten rid of some subs because of the greed, and I've seen the creep up, and then they're so full of you know what that it's like, come on, man. You know, you think I got stupid written across my forehead like that I didn't know that you were padding up your costs little by little because you think we just pay it. You know, the clients, oh, these people got money, they could afford it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, so everybody deals with the same problems we do. It's just the numbers are bigger. That's really all it is,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
They're,
Exactly.
so
Talk about to wrap this up. Man, we've already been almost talking for an hour already. Always flies by with you, Nate.
yeah.
Um, talk about the vision because we I haven't heard the vision. So what is the vision? Because you brought that up a few times. I'm just curious what's the overall vision for Swink's Welding.
Well, we're still figuring that out. No, no, just kidding. So, through EOS, that's actually helped solidify it. It's helped solidify kind of how we differentiate from our competition and all those different things. But right now, it's just monetary. I'm trying to make it more tied to just money, but I think we're at our 10-year target is 74 million in 10 years. So in 10 years, we'll be doing about 74 million a year.
Why
So
not 75? I
I
like
don't know. I got
nice.
to look at the equation and how I did the math. It's all based on percentages of, you know,
I like
growth.
fives
And
and
then,
zeros. Fives
I,
and zeros make it, four's just an odd number. Or
yeah, I don't
it's an
know.
even number, but it's
I
just
did
weird.
like, I did a percentage of growth every year. And then I think I did like a couple years where we would be off of where we thought we would be. That way it kind of leveled out. So, but,
See, spot on predictions.
yeah, so I tried to get it as close as I can. You don't want to be like, oh, we're gonna go to the moon and then miss the moon and end up, you know, I don't know. So yeah, that's it. And just trying to figure out how we can develop better training programs. How can we figure out career pathing so that we can bring somebody into the industry and say, hey, here's how you get from being a helper to a project manager or to an estimator or to a position where you make six figures and can really, take care of your family. And those are all things that take a lot of time to build. But that's kind of part of the vision. Another part of it is to be able to generate enough profit and excess money where we can give a lot away. One thing that kind of bothered me during these fires was that, we're kind of strapped with cash right now and we can't afford to really help, right? Where it would be nice to just say, hey, we're going to pay all our guys to go down there and help and distribute resources for 3 days. Well, that costs cash, so
Hmm.
just different things like that, how we can help the community. That's all part of the vision, career pathing. How can we get people to the goals that they want to achieve? How can we help people to develop? Because that's, all things that we're working on this year, figuring out training programs and yeah.
I like that. I like the career pathing kind of part of the vision too, because with us, and I think every company should be this way too. It's like we're starting. I just hired my labor's twin brother, because like we're building this culture of an organization where, these people want to be there. They want to be a part of that vision, that overall vision. And he was asking me, he's like, hey, my brother's working for the Marriott. He would love to work for the team and be a part of this. Like, would you consider hiring him? And I was like, well, I know you're good. Obviously, he's your twin, so I hope he's not too far off the rocker because you're probably a lot alike. So I was like, yeah, I'll talk with my brother and we'll sit down and figure out a spot for him. So I've been wanting to hire somebody that goes around and just cleans job sites. Like my laborer right now, he does all this different stuff. He's helping the supers, like he's doing a lot of different things. He doesn't really
Yeah.
have time for the cleanup anymore. So I'm like, all right, we'll start your brother as a cleanup guy. Like he's gonna go around, start at one, and he's gonna rotate his way around till he gets back to that one, and he's gonna start over. Any speck of sawdust, any little thing. There's always a nail. There's always sawdust. There's always
Yeah.
something on the floor. There's always something to clean up on a job site. So I want him spotless. If he's okay with doing that, let him know that's going to be the role, and then we'll talk to him. Well, he said he was okay because he wanted to be a part of it. So, like going back into what you're saying is career pathing. Like, I envision him and his other twin brother as being whether they're a super or an estimator as we get busier or project man, they work up the ranks. There's always positions in this business too. It's like it never stops. So I loved what you said there, man.
Yeah, and it's not easy to figure out. It's easy to say,
No.
but it takes a lot of time to figure out. It's something I've wanted to do for a while, but we haven't been as organized as we have been as we are now in our leadership team, and kind of we're getting more and more organized every week. And also once you get those all those brains together, things happen better than just you trying to think about it, right? So yeah, it's something
Hmm.
exciting, and I think it's something that's needed in the industry because we don't have a great training program right now. We utilize the union training where we can for the field, but our shop guys, there's no real training for them. And the union doesn't even have a shop training. So maybe that's something we help them develop, or we develop our own, or, you know, there's all sorts of different opportunities.
Yeah. No, for sure, man. I see it with you guys too. Like just following along on your journey, obviously social media too, how much you've progressed. And like we talked about, I don't think, both of us in our journey, like since 2 years ago, since last time you were on this show, like I don't think I'd be able to handle uh 8,500 square foot house, or you'd be able to handle a $2 million 7-story building contract like 2 years ago. I think it was just a different story. And doing all these things we're talking about in this episode today, I mean, is what's led to that growth and development, man.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
sky's the limit.
all the issues that I mentioned too that we went through, we still grew at I think
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
28 or 30% last year.
Which is impressive. That's huge.
Right? We weren't profitable, but we grew and took up more market share.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's you're solving issues, you're going through all this conflict, but you're still growing, you're still pushing through it. And that's the
Yeah.
long nights, that's the Saturdays, the Sundays, that's everything.
Yeah. For sure, brother. Well, gonna have you on again. I want to frequent this a little bit more instead of waiting 2 years here, Nate. So
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
let's
Let's do it
let's
every 6 months.
that sounds good. Sounds good. That's a deal. I'm gonna hold you to it too. But where can people connect with you? Obviously, they need to check out your social media to
Yeah,
start.
check me out on Instagram, Nate_Swink, LinkedIn, Nate Swink. Check out our business, Swink's Welding, on Instagram. We got a pretty decent following, really on all platforms. So, yeah, it's
Aw- Awesome, brother.
anything we can
Well,
do, just let us know. If there's any other questions or anything we talked about, DM me, and I'm happy to get on a phone call and teach you as much as I know. I don't know much, but I can teach you what I know.
give yourself some credit. No, it definitely hit Nate up too. He's got a lot of knowledge as far as business. I mean, you can just, like I said, follow your videos and learn quite a bit off of that too. I mean, looking at the numbers on your podcast too, it was pretty well taken the first time. So I got a feeling this one's going to be listened to quite a bit as well. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to that one too, because I'm interested to see the
I
change in myself or whatever between now and then.
episode 169, everybody go check that out, then go check this one out too. But yeah, you've obviously we've both come a long way since then, man. So I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you, our friendship, and having you on again. And we're definitely going to do this. I'm going to hold you to it every 6 months. So be prepared for that, and looking forward to it, brother.
Awesome. Love you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and everybody listening, we appreciate you. Thank you all for listening. Like, share, comment, subscribe, 5-star reviews. That's all this deserves, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.